Today, we're doing something super exciting because we're gonna try out a new diamond painting device.
Oh my God, what is that?
I'm not really on Facebook except for my extremely niche and obscure groups. I'm a part of a lot of diamond painting groups. I'm always on the hunt for new and innovative things that may enter my community. And while I was scrolling my Facebook, I happened upon this new device, an e-painter. I have never heard of this before. I don't know too much about it, but the people in the group are loving this thing. I've seen it across multiple pages. Everyone seems to really love it, so of course I had to get it and try it out for you guys. I want to run a few tests to see if it's actually faster, if it's loud, is this thing actually compact enough for you to want to use it. Now this is specifically for ABs, but it says you can pick up like other drills as well. So let's open it up for the first time and see how it works. So what it basically is a vacuum. So instead of using wax, you can just use this and it should suck up the drills. Just like that. Now, something that could be make or break for this thing is the battery life and if it's loud. Before I start doing the testing, I'm gonna make sure it's fully charged to see if the battery life is really as long as it says. I need it to be plugged in. Okay. It looks like it's on. I don't think this opens, right? I just wanna make sure. How do I turn it on? Oh. It's not super loud, which is amazing. So I'm not gonna lie, I don't like the restriction, I feel, just like off the bat. I'm used to waving my pens around, you know what I mean? But the suction isn't really loud at all. I wonder if you can even hear it through my mic. Huh? Can you guys hear that? You hear? Before I start the trials, I want to see exactly what this Amazon listing says, what it promises it'll do. Let's read the description. Let's see what this is all about. The painting pen has a micro pump allowing the stones to be picked up and placed effortlessly with the pen tip of the e-painter. Not only does our e-painter come with 3 colors, but it's also designed to safely and effortlessly hold ABs in special bricks. Oh, you can do wireless. Oh, I like that. Our diamond painting accessory set has an integrated rechargeable battery that lasts up to 4 hours at a time. It is particularly practical that you can also connect the e-painter to a power supply permanently. Oh, you mean like plug it in? Overall, it has 4.4 out of 5 stars. So what I have learned is that this thing could be the next big thing. It seems like very innovative and people seem to really like it. I'm very curious to see. I'm gonna try to make it as fair as possible and as even as possible. So let's get testing. Okay, so to start this test, I gotta get a feel for how long it takes me to normally diamond paint a section and about how many times I dip my pen into the wax. You'll have to forgive me, I did end up forgetting to hit record on the first few drills, but that does not change the fact that I've only dipped 1 time. It's been about 5 minutes approximately, and I believe I need to dip into my wax again. That's much better. Okay, so I wanted to start this test by using my regular pen, the regular pen that comes with every single diamond painting you'll ever get in your entire life, and the gripper. And by the way, it was completely empty. This was the first time ever using wax in it. I wanted this to be an actual test. I wanted it to be as scientifically accurate as possible. So here's my plan. The e-painter says that it can diamond paint for up to 4 hours being fully charged. So I wanted to see how far I could get diamond painting for 4 hours using my regular wax and pen. So for this section, I set a timer for 4 hours to see how far I could get. Recently, I switched over from the regular diamond painting pen to a more upgraded version of a diamond painting pen, and it's actually a lot more comfortable. I almost never use these basic version of pens anymore, and I feel like a lot of diamond painters have their own specialty pen that they prefer to use while diamond painting. So I do feel like that is kind of a downside when it comes to these pens. Although I do find these flimsy little basic pens to be kind of uncomfortable now that I know what exists and what is really out there when it comes to pens. pens. I personally like a thicker pen that is made of resin. I find it to be a lot less fatiguing, but you do get used to it and the gripper helps a ton. In the past, I've been the biggest fan of the one placer. I cannot tell you how big a fan I was of the one placer in the past. I was a beginner, and you know what? I still feel like a beginner. I still feel like I'm learning so much, but I will say I feel like I am a solid 3-4 placer now. That is my go-to, and to be 100% honest, it is hard to go back to the one placer. I love its accuracy, but with rounds, I feel like it's just not that important. And so that I feel is another flaw of this machine, is that currently they only have them in one placer as far as I've seen. I also did try to get a little bit cheeky with it, and I did try to replace the head with a 3-placer head or a 4-placer head, but we can talk about that later. Right now, I'm still just going off my regular wax and pen. So like I said, I was a little bit upset about having to use the one placer so often. However, what I didn't really realize was that this canvas is pretty much a full confetti canvas. I was changing my colors left and right. There are so many colors. Why? So I was kind of going through it when it came to these colors. However, I chose this canvas for a very specific reason. Like I told you, I was trying to be very scientifical about this one. I wanted a canvas that was kind of even on both sides. If I finished one side faster than I finished the other, it could be just because I had less colors on one of the sides. So to make it as fair as possible, I tried to find a canvas that was fairly symmetrical on both sides. Now that's big-brained of me, isn't it? Now, while filming, I did make it a point to always have my wax in frame. That way you can see when I'm dipping into my wax. And I did mean to count how many times I dipped into my wax, and I said I would do it in editing, and now that I'm editing, I'm saying that I will not do that. But I do have every single time I dipped into my wax on camera. And I will say, I didn't even know this about myself, but I hate dipping into my wax. It is this whole ordeal. First of all, it's probably stuck to my elbow. Second of all, it takes time away from the diamond painting. You get into this like mechanical rhythm where you don't want to stop. And I want to say I get about 15 good picks out of my diamonds before the wax starts to not stick as well. I start missing drills in the tray and I have to start going back, and it does overall take time from the painting. And it's just annoying, to be honest. And I didn't realize how often I go out of my way to avoid dipping into wax until I really had to think about it. I ended up going over about 10 minutes for this side of the diamond painting because I wanted to fill in the rest of the little extra sections. As you can see, I completed about half of that first section. Now let's see how much of this next section we can get done while using the e-painter. Okay, so right off the bat, my first impression while using this thing was I love it. It's got just the right amount of suction where it's not sucking up other drills at the same time. It's holding on to the drill just perfectly. I am barely ever missing any drills while picking it up. I'd say it's like a 99% accuracy rate when I'm picking up my drills. Going back and like missing drills, it takes time, it takes effort. And when you're doing the same repetitive motion, literally 100,000 times, each time counts. When you go to pick up a drill and you pick it up and it's not really there, That is such a waste. Honestly, it's one of the greatest heartaches to ever exist, to be 100% honest. Just picking these drills up this way, every time I picked them up, I knew that I had a drill on the edge of my tip. I knew it. And it was just great. It made things go by so much faster. Not to mention, I had ABs in this section, which I normally save till last because I have to take out a specialty pen to use these drills. I did not have to do that this time. That is such a game changer to me. That is so huge. I felt like a machine while diamond painting. I was a factory. I was unstoppable, to be honest. I think I saw smoke rising up from my wrists. This footage isn't even sped up. This is me IRL. This is how I move with this pen. All jokes aside, I felt like I was flying using this pen, okay? I loved it, but I did have one fear, and that was the motor. My fear was that it would slowly start to get less powerful as I continued painting. That is why I really wanted to use this up until the 4 hours was over. So here is what I thought of the motor in this device. When it first started, I felt like it was a little bit louder and a little bit stronger, maybe like 10% stronger. And about 10 minutes into diamond painting, I'd say it might have gone down. And so my fear was that the rest of the 4 hours, it would continuously go down. However, to my surprise, it did not do that. And for the rest of the time, it was completely fine. Now, I know there are wax people and there are putty people. I personally am a wax girly. I don't really like putty. It tends to stick to the canvas. So I won't be comparing this device to putty, only wax, because personally, that's just what I prefer. I know putty's supposed to last a lot longer than wax, but I can't imagine it's faster than using this machine. At about 3 hours in, I was way ahead of my last section using the regular pen with wax. And overall, it felt like the sections were going by a lot faster in general. As far as this thing being comfortable and feeling natural to use, I would say it definitely is comfortable and it does get easier to use pretty quickly. It comes with 2 tubes and they're both pretty long, which is great so you can keep this device out of your way. I know my table can get really messy when I'm diamond painting. I tend to leave all my drills out. The less I have in my way, the better. So I'm glad they included such long tubes. As far as noise goes, I would say it's not very loud. It definitely didn't disturb my piece, but I would say if I wanted to put in a headphone, I would probably forget that the sound was there. As far as the battery goes, I think it's great. The power level stayed consistent. Something else I should mention is that every time I stopped using the pen, I turned it off just because the sound can get a little bit overwhelming. So that's just how I used it personally. I didn't have it running consistently the entire time. When I'd switch my drills, I'd turn it off. And I was really curious if this is one of those devices that you can have fully charged and then don't use it for like 3 days and then you come back to it and it's just dead. I wanted to know if it was one of those devices. So I saved the last 30 minutes of my work till the next day. It was working totally fine. So I do believe that this thing keeps and holds a charge for quite a while. It lasted the entire 4 hours. It was great. I truly have no complaints other than I wish that it had a multi-placer. This thing is totally great. I would 110% recommend you get this, especially for those pieces that are really, really confetti heavy. This is gonna save you your wrists, truly. Not to mention, I got done a lot more on the e-painter side than I did the regular diamond painting pen side, and for me, that's a huge bonus. So if you made it to this point in the video, leave this emoji so I know you made it this far, and let me know down below, would you buy something like this? Have you tried this? Let me know, what are your thoughts down below? And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye!